Hi everybody, Jerome right here again, and again you're joining me on my Jeronification channel here on YouTube. Okay, I have two images up here. Um, One is by Leonardo da Vinci in his 14th century famous painting of that of the Last Supper, which is up here, and then this one here is the a painting, the betrayal of Judas kiss, the betrayal kiss of Judas, and it's it's a Biotto painting, dated 1304-06, and it's in the Scrovehi Chapel. Okay, um, it's my position. The reason why you see both of these images up here, it is my position that what Leonardo da Vinci is trying to tell us here was already said here in the in this painting that came before Leonardo da Vinci's Last Supper, and the meanings are one and the same. Um, both paintings, as if you've been following my videos, both paintings represent, I have discovered to represent genetic bridging and genetic manipulation and contamination of mankind's genetics. And this is the true journey of that of Jesus. And these bizarre paintings, which were made by these famous artists, Renaissance artists, which were vastly overseen by that of Christianity, the Vatican, and religion, through an era of which these paintings were made. Um, it's also my position that I can continue to reveal the encryption styles of these paintings, and especially where they were more so in a raw sense, where everything that was trying to be said and relayed could not be there. Not the technology was not there, but I guess for their time it could be actually hidden. But now, as these paintings had evolved on, okay, through time, what you see here is on our TVs today, um, in our commercials, in the products that are commercialized to us, in our homes, in designs in our homes, meaning like in fabrics in our clothing. These messages are being relayed in that sense. And then there is artwork that is before then, that is in the form of picture glyphs, rock art, monuments, stone art monuments, um, and just back before time. And then there is indications that are even before then that I can see through to this stuff, and I can actually show you what's going on with that. So it should not come as a shock, because I am truly paranormally connected, okay, to multi-dimensions. And through this multi-dimensional sense of being, I have this multi-dimensional sense of awareness and of knowledge. Now, I keep bringing you these videos. I believe we're going on towards my 120 something video here on YouTube, and I continuously keep bringing you things that, I mean, you have people that have been trying to understand, not this painting, perhaps maybe this painting as well too, but just the Last Supper. I mean, from the time that it was created, I mean, you're looking, what, 500-600 years ago. People have been trying to figure out the message behind the Last Supper. And then I have a video here out on that, and I mean, just in a few of my videos that I released, that I mean, I show you that it's all representing genetic bridging, and Jesus is at the center because he is the referencer of these genetics, which is also the meaning of that of the symbolic meaning of the cross. It means the cross referencing of mankind's genetics. Now, there is no secret behind actually what's being said here. But the good thing that I like about what's going on with these Renaissance artists is that there is always artworks that came before them, which actually inspired them and their ideas to make these other paintings that, I mean, which they succeeded. So therefore, it should not surprise you that I can come now and reveal to you that this painting is similar to exactly what this painting is, And I'm telling you that Leonardo, an idea, copied off this painting here, okay, which came before it. I'm gonna point out some details to you that are actually there. Can I pull this in closer? I wonder, because without cutting this out. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit here. All right. I want to take you first here, where Judas and Jesus is shown kissing in the middle. There's another guy in between, right there, and his beard is actually shown right here. His beard creates the likeness. Compounded that with Jesus' beard of that of an ape, facing Jesus' throat area. Then facing Judas in the beard, encrypted, is the face of a man, a black man, showing you that these two bridged over the genetics of that of our ape and ape-like ancestors, which was that of ape, which in the African genetics, which were more closely rooted to that of the ape. And that's why these images of these apes keeps popping up. It's showing you a genetic bridging over the ancient genetics of black man, which subsequently resulted in the changed genetics and altered genetics, which actually resulted in our white counterparts, which is here shown in the likenesses of Judas and Jesus and the many others here depicted in the picture. Okay. Now, let's go. I'm gonna bring you here down in this bottom image first, and then I'll bring you up to the Last Supper there. I'm telling you that the ape's genetics was bridged over. The hats. If you look up here in the hats, I don't know if you can follow me here. Look up there, and you'll start seeing the likenesses. Now you would have to rotate this, of these monkeys in the hats, showing you that these people are wearing the genetics. Now I did that upside down in the hat there. You would actually have to rotate it. I might be able to change it and turn it in the end. Shows you this genetic bridging. Shows you the monkey in his most blackened state. Then showing you genetics coming out of his mouth, showing you a genetic bridging there. Now here we have the hairstyle. Now look, there are teeth right there. When you Google this image, you can check for yourself. The hair creates, again, another likeness of that of our ape ancestor in a lighting version. This image, what I just now showed you, this darker ape, and now you can possibly see it, the ape is in the hair there. It's showing you as these genetics are traveling from their rooting sources, they're being broken down. They finally make their way over here to where Judas and Jesus is, and they're being bridged over. This is not no betrayal kiss of Judas, and he's leading these soldiers to make the arrest of Jesus in the sense that we would think of his persecution. But in the sense that Jesus is being arrested genetically. He's being bridged genetically. And these clever titles of these paintings are stating, not to the offense of Jesus is being arrested and prosecuted in that sense, but an outwardly sense, but in an inwardly sense where his genetics are being bridged over and being he's being overpowered genetically, and that's what's going on. He's being bridged over. Now, I'm going to show you something else. Now, I just gave you two monkeys. Now, you have to Google this image now, people. This is the Betrayal Kiss of Judas by Biotto, and it's a 1304 to 06 painting. It's at the Scrovehi Chapel. I just gave you two apes here in the hats area, or hat and hair area of these beings right here, of these individuals. Now, where we at? I don't want to use this white pencil here. Let me put this back together here. Now here, there's always an implying, and it lets you know that there was a removal of genetics. You see this guy blowing the horn upwards here? This is being implied right here, okay, where you have Thomas pointing up, telling you in this genetic bridging chain, a genetic was removed, taken out. That's what that symbol means, hand going up, not to heaven, pointing towards heaven. This is symbolic of telling you that there was an extraction. There was extraction of genetics being bridged over here. Now, notice that the wear right here is identical to the wear that Simon is wearing here in the Last Supper. This wear indicates the hide, the skin of that of the whale. In the Last Supper, you can see that it's in its drapings, and you'll see the head and the head of the whale and the face of the whale down here. Now, where we at here? Let's keep going, because I know that I'm possibly losing here. I'm gonna be doing these comparisons, and I'm just gonna throw a few things out there, people. I'm not gonna throw everything out. All right. We always have these darkened areas. Again, down here. Look between the legs right down here. There are multi-morphing images again here of the likeness of the ape, showing you that there was a bridging over, stepping over of that of our ancient genetics. When you Google this painting, zero in on there, and you will see the faces and the mouths of these beings facing off in both directions. This is an indication again of there being a genetic bridging over that of our ancestral genetics, which represents that of our black ancestors, which is derived from that of ape. Now I want to come in. I want to take you to some real good stuff here in a minute here. Okay, if you notice, in fact, down here, if you notice in these images that I'm telling you, this foot, this soldier's foot, is actually in the mouth of that, the head image of that of an ape. And if you look both ways, it's actually there. It doesn't take much to give the ape facial features there, and you'll actually see teeth and all. Like right here, I can see teeth right there. Okay, open mouth, and the foot is actually in the mouth, and you will see the teeth, okay, of these creatures, showing you these genetics. What this is, people, is like a genetic grail, and it's showing you the path of where our ancestral genetics actually went, how they were bridged over, and what was precisely being done to alter mankind's genetic in a precise way. In other words, in a controlled way. That's what these images are all about here. Now, let's go here to Judas and Jesus kissing. Notice that Judas is draped over Jesus here, letting you know that the genetics, that all of these genetics, Judas is blanketing almost in a covenant way Jesus with the genetics of everything that I just stated here. And it's showing you again the bridging. You have to look up in there, okay? And look in that area, that guy in the back there, and it's showing you a bridging over. Now, check this out. These genetics are coming from this way. Now look at this strange thing that happens here. I'm telling you, just like it is believed that up here in the Last Supper, that this is either, they're trying to say either Mary Magdalene and or John, right here, I'm telling you that it is a woman, and it has to be Mary. And not only do I know instinctively that this is Mary, right here, it's also being implied in the painting that came before. And what's being implied is the back being turned. And this is another encryption style that I discovered with that of the early Renaissance artists when they were implying that of women, but didn't want to make the implication along with all of the men being shown. The back would be turned, and the head would be turned and covered over, implying this is how women actually did it. This was the traveling genetics of women, with their faces being covered. And if you think about it, it makes sense, and this is where also this is being implied now today, and like especially in the Middle East, amongst the Muslim world, and other and Arab nations and other religious sects where the woman's head is covered and her face is being covered, like if it's covering her identity. This is what's being implied here, people. This is a woman. What is this woman doing? The same thing that Mary Magdalene is doing here, showing you that she is sharing genetics with Jesus. This implying, whether in my findings, the breaking of bread implies a genetic exchange with that of semen, sperm. This is what the breaking of bread means. Now, Davinci stole his idea from here. Well, he borrowed ideas from here. So if I'm right, I can make that connection here as well. And I know that I am right. So anyway, let's with no further ado, look at this woman's hand. Her right hand is reaching under the coverings of Jesus and the coverings that Judas had over Jesus, going down towards the penis of Jesus. Why would this person be reaching down along there and inside underneath if this is not everything that I'm stating? What is down here, people, at this level? A penis. There's nothing else there to be reaching for. It's covered over. What is else right there at that level to be reaching behind, and the arm is disappearing behind this draped area? There is nothing there but the penis. Later on, Davinci cloaks it, and as did many other Renaissance artists, and they symbolize it as bread, breaking the bread. Okay. The symbolization being symbolized as the wine, and that is being disguised as that of our genetics, which is the blood. And this is why you see so many symbolic messages with this thing about this wine. You would think that everybody was drunkards if you follow into these ancient Renaissance artist paintings and these statues and these sculptures in that way. The goddess Bacchus, which is the goddess of wine. You know what I found out that this goddess is? This is the goddess of blood. Only these encrpytions has a true symbolic meaning. Why would there be a god of wine, people? Doesn't make no sense. But it makes a whole lot of sense that there is a goddess of, a goddess of blood. So think about it, and then you can read into that goddess as well as too. Okay. Now, where are we at here? This person is shown reaching around underneath that the clothing of Jesus and where Judas is there. You don't see it, but I can see it from here. On the arm, I can see the genetics that actually are being pulled out because there's an encrpytion there that I can see. Which I can see a lot of stuff that you actually can't see because I already know what this is all symbolizing and saying. Okay, now these genetics between Jesus and Judas are being bridged over, and you see that this person now shown these genetics are being bridged across. Okay, and they end up going here. You see that? These genetics that are exchanged here, which came in from here, bridged over here, cross-referenced, are now being bridged over again. And it's showing you. Now, this is the showstopper here. This is because this person here doing this is the same exact thing that you can actually see as it being done here. This bridging over right here between these arms stretched over between In the area of, beginning with Bartholomew, James Minor, Peter, and then again Judas. Look how the arms are stretched over, showing you this bridging. You see this? Now, that's another similarity. Here's the real similarity right here. The knife. In the Last Supper, they're saying that Judas is being betrayed by Peter, who was putting the knife into Judas's back. Here, it is showing you the knife at the ear. And if you look more closely, the knife is showing, and by the way, people, the knife does not mean that they are stabbing this person. You know what the knife means? The knife means that a slice of these genetics are being taken out. Genetic splicing. That's what that means. If you look at the tip of the knife, I can tell you exactly what genetics are being removed based on the encryption that is right there in that area, in that 13th century painting. I can tell you exactly what's being spliced out of this person based on where we at right there, and there's an encryption right there that I can see, that I can read. I know what is being taken out right there. The same exact thing, people, is being said in the Last Supper with this knife movement in the back of Judas, whom I'm telling you is being spliced over for the simple fact of the genetics of our black ancestors, showing you that there are certain genetics being taken out, removed, to alter the genetics of mankind. Where else is there that I can show you here? Alright, let's go over here to Matthew. To Matthew right here. Look how Matthew have his arm tucked in and coming around there. Look at this character right here in relations to Matthew. Then the outstretched arm pointing. Why is Matthew doing the same exact thing? The same gesture that's being done right here, alongside of this guy with the same clothing as that of Simon in Davinci's Last Supper. Look at the gesturing. The same exact thing. And then right after that, I'm telling you that the pointing up of the hand, which is the same thing with the horn, showing you the same exact motioning here. Those three things tied in right here. Well, okay, all the way over here. Jesus in the middle. Now, you say, well, Judas is on the opposite side than that of right here. The same exact message is being implied, people. Bridging over, genetic bridging over. And it's showing you, Davinci is showing you, stating the same thing that's being said here in a different way. Well, where's the monkeys at? Up here, you state. Well, in my video, I'm going to see if I can give you one of these monkeys right quick. Hold on to that thought. Let me see if I can bring up a bigger picture of that of the Last Supper. Let's see if I can show you the monkey in a more clearer sense than that in the Last Supper. Where we at here? Nothing clear, I would imagine. Alright, I don't want to lose no valuable time here. Let me see if I can find one right here. you say, well, where's the monkeys at in the Last Supper? Well, I've already showed you if you actually seen my video. First of all, here with Bartholomew, and I don't know if I have too much light in there, not enough light. Let me turn on the light so I can actually show you better. Bartholomew's clothing, I have it highlighted here for you too. I don't know if you can actually see that. Bartholomew's clothing creates the image of an ape, which is right there, and I have a video on this too, people. Also, where the knife is shown coming into Judas's back. There's an ape right here, people. I'm at the mouth. There's the top of the nose, and there's the eye. I have a video on this, and then actually it's showing this is actually that of a reptilian ape. If you wonder where I get a reptilian ape from, you have to actually watch my videos, people. I have it all in there. We had a reptilian ape ancestor, one that you don't even know nothing about, and this is the reason why scientists are on a wild goose chase and trying to find out the evolution, the true evolution, airy passage of mankind, because they don't know this. Now, here, there's another ape shown there. Okay, and that knife that is supposed to be being put in the back of Judas is actually shown going into that of the ape's mouth. There's another image of an ape there. And what else do we have? I'm going to stop it with that. I don't know if you can even see that, to be totally honest with you. But I'm going to bring it in closer. The clothing, there's Mary Magdalene is wearing. Her clothing is cloaked with that of a pig skin. These people's, here's Judas's arm, shows you there that there is a dinosaur-like creature right there in his clothing, and that's why that changes colors right there. Shows you that reptilian presence, along with a bunch of other encryptions. But anyway, you can see my video for this. My main point of what I'm doing here, people, is I'm telling you that this painting inspired Leonardo da Vinci's Last Supper. If you look at the motioning, they're identical, just different scenarios. You know, one is insinuating a Last Supper, and the other is signifying a betrayal. I'm telling you that both underlining messages in both of these represent a genetic bridging, manipulation, cross-referencing, and a contamination. And that's what both of these images are indicating. And Jesus is always at the middle, because here is the cross-referencing point of these genetics. Just like here, cross-referenced. These genetics can be understood because of what is being said. It's like having a genetic grail. It shows you the direction of the blood, the semen, and also a genetic that most people would not even believe, unless unless it was broken down by science, is that of a reptilian genetic, which I also know the trail of that as well too. But look at this again, people. Why would they have all of these bodies morphing together like this? And then these hidden messages, these encryptions, apes, images of apes here, there, and then showing you how it was bridged over. And also the halo, I just released in a video, this is what the halo means, bridging over, the halo. It doesn't mean divinity. It means that this person is bridged over. And it shows you in every instance which genetics are being bridged over. The earlier images imply it more than the most recent images. But if you understand one, you understand all. I can take us back to the very beginning, before there was even painting, from the glyphs on rocks, and before that. Stuff that people didn't even know existed. My Grand Canyon discoveries details that. in my videos here. My Grand Canyon discoveries are beyond anything that is of any record. And yet I can read to you off the record. Off the rocks. These records. Beginning with the images of those cherubs that I released in my Grand Canyon video, which my numbers are taking off, by the way, thanks to my viewers. People, the Last Supper and this Scrovehi Chapel painting are the same thing, are implying the same thing. This stuff is representing homosexuality, lesbian acts, bisexuality, and the transference of genetics in unimaginable ways, but I like to say by any means necessary, in a controlled flow and way that alters the genetics of mankind. And then it's showing you that that's what's being created. What they're doing then is what they're bridging over, is they're putting it back out to continue change. It's a cyclination process, which is altering the genetics of mankind. Now, let me give you a scenario that is not on image or not in painting. Let me give you something that's in common sense. Look at all of the breeds of people in our world today. Now, one might think that it's already been established that we evolved from that of ape through that of Africans. So therefore, people, how did the changes come? Through what I've discovered, that I have the answer to that, the change. Even Africans are being broken down genetically in a sense to where they can't even say that there's no originating Africans. Before they could possibly say that about us here in America or in Britain, Great Britain, or where else we've been sent off to through the slave trade. But even Africans, the genetics of Africa is being broken down in a sense that where you don't even have a purebred anymore in our world. Why is that? It was a process that was precise and practiced in a cult-like ritual. And there has always been a record of it. I can show you not just through this, through the saints, through paintings of saints. We have black saints all globally, and of these black women shown as saints, and then shown with white angels around them. And these are records that you probably don't even know nothing about. And then there are black saints. Like jet black saints, blacker than I am. You know what I mean? And female saints, where they are highly revered for their contributions to helping bring about these likenesses. And that's why you see and can't understand, well, how in a time when there was so much segregation and the black man was not revered and they were looked upon as slaves, how come did some of these women and some of these men manage to get around that? It's genetic contribution, where there are a select few of people that know what is being done and how we're being genetically altered. And those are the people that can rise to the highest levels, unimaginable levels, because they are being genetically used to alter the many or the masses and numbers of the unsuspecting. It's being done today. I see it widely in the music industry. I exposed it in the video the video advertising of by Deluxe album artist who did the photo album paintings for the Nicki Minaj Roman Reloaded tour. This stuff is in there. This is identical stuff in its rawest form. Is in, and yes, on that cover. I have a video here on that as well too, people. I just released my findings with that of Michael Jackson, who have this knowledge because he has paintings out that was commissioned by himself that show the same thing. What else is there? I see it a lot today in the music, and I've seen it in a lot of rap videos lately, in rock and roll and pop art culture, in Disney. Look at how weird everything is getting. Turn your TV on. Look at music videos. I mean, it's already weird in its sense, in itself. But look at how these videos. It seems like it's becoming more and more candid. And these cult-like messages that are being stated. People, you have to look at this for what it is. These same body motions. Well, I can't say that they're the same as this because you know what I have to say? That since Davinci copied off of this, if you understand this, that kiss, all of this, and this here, and this hand down at Jesus' crotch area, and reaching down, shows that, look, it shows that, look, this is what this message is saying. Let me read this to you. That Jesus and Judas kissed, exchanged genetics. We call that swap and spit. All right. In the middle, in between the beard that brings Judas's face and Jesus's face together, and in Jesus's beard, there's a guy in the back. Their beard creates the image of an ape, of a monkey. If you look at it, you'll see it going that way. And then the image, if you pan in on it real, if you Google the image and then actually bring in a higher resolution, you'll see the face of a man. You'll see morphine faces in here of man and monkey right there. Right there. A lightened state of it. If you go here, you'll see the same exact thing in this darkened state. And then if you go here in the hair, you'll see the lighter state in the monkey. And then here, you'll see a blackened state in the monkey as well, too. If you look at these images, as I'm pointing them out to you, you go there and you will see it. You know why? Because it's stating, in short, that these people genetically bridged over our black ancestors on their closest genetic point in relation to that of our ape ancestor, and they altered these genetics with that of a reptilian genetic source, which I've actually learned and know what they are actually doing. This is a genetic record telling you how it was done, where these genetics were bridged over at, where they were cross-referenced at, and then bridged over. Same thing here. The knife is out. Why do you think the knife is out? Shown slicing at this individual's ear. Showing you that these genetics were sliced over. You're thinking that this knife is going at Judas, where it actually showing you that there's a splicing right here. Where these genetics were bridged off of Judas, and then there's a splicing. I can show you what genetics were being spliced right here. This is the splicing point. The same exact thing here. Genetic splicing after a cross-reference. These genetics are coming in from both sides and coming out of both and going in both directions. Same thing that's being said here. Why is this image? If this is the Last Supper, what is a knife doing out at the Last Supper and a knife there at the back of Judas? So they say it's a knife. I'm telling you that it represents genetic splicing. And then how do we get the knife down here, where this is the betrayal of Judas, where Jesus is supposed to be being arrested? What is the knife doing out there? How can you explain the knife at both places unless in the sense that I'm telling you that this is genetic splicing and this is referencing a genetic passage, or should I say a genetic trail of genetics that were actually crossed over of that of our ape black ancestors. This painting came before this painting, but the gestures are matching what is here. Who was right and who was wrong? Davinci was hailed as this as being his most greatest and famous artwork. Then, what the hell am I? I'm telling you that I don't know where I'm getting. Giovanni must be reaching from his grave and patting me on the back or something. I don't know what's going on here, because I keep bringing up Giovanni. Then, if this man was great for creating this, the Last Supper image, I'm connecting it to this 1304 to 1306 Scrovehi Biotto painting at the Scrovehi Chapel, which is not as famous as this, but yet calls for inspiring this. Then what am I for bringing these two paintings together? And can read them and telling you which genetics are being crossed. I must be held, not patting myself on the back then, if I'm bringing two artists together and telling you that this artist copied off of this artist, and what the underlying messages is, things that people have been doing for almost 400 plus, maybe 500, 600 years, trying to figure out the message behind these paintings, and now I'm telling you what they are. People, enough is enough. How much proof do you need? You sit back at your computer or copy these out and you look at these images. And there's more to these images that I'm not even stating, because there's so much. It's a never-ending story. You know why? Because this is reality, and what we have been taught to believe is not reality. This is reality here. This can be added to over and over and over again. You know why? Because this represents genetics, people. Look at genetics in motion. A genetic grail of who we are. Look at these as bloodlines being in motion, being bridged, being extracted, which they knew. And there's evidence of this on the Peruvian burial stones, where they were showing they were doing these operations and extracting organs, and looked like they were genetically altering things and everything else on those Peruvian burial stones. I have a video here on that as well too, people. But just look at these. Look at both sides in the Last Supper, and then here in the Biotto painting, the 1304 to 06 in the Scrovehi Chapel. Google that image. And look at the gestures being identical almost to what is being said here at the Last Supper. Down to the knife, down to the finger being pointed up, and this person blowing the horn up. Down to the gesture of this person reaching into himself and then going over in that direction there. Down to the images of the apes, which are shown there in motion from here to there, to in here between the beard area, to down here. I believe we even have some over here somewhere. I forget there, but I believe they're there as well too. Shows you the breakdown in the genetics of our black ancestor. Kind of makes you wonder anyway, though, because you don't have to wonder, because people, with us being evolved from that of our black ancestor and being so much of a part of our black ancestry, this is why you don't see. This is a transcending point where blacks are not referenced in here. You know why? Because that would give away the big secret as to what's going on. It wasn't a thing of racism, unless you want to call it that, of course. I understand it better, so I know why it's being said, because if they had blacks in here at every certain point, then you would know, say, well, damn, what is these black people doing here? Something's going on. you would know, you would be able to read this better. It wouldn't be as cryptic as well. If you've seen black people sitting there, well, Judas does look black here, so I got to give that to them and there, and that's what this is all referencing too. Judas was more ancestral linked to that of our black ancestor, and that's what this representation of this whole thing with Judas and the betrayal and all that is in there with. It's a genetic bridging over, but it's referencing that of our black ancestor, and Judas and Jesus are being bridged over, involving all of these other characters you actually see here, and it's actually showing you what's going on. Again, I don't need a team of scientists. I can read these, but it's a genetic grail. It's a genetic blueprint. All I have to do is tell the scientists what it is that, through my paranormal experience and encounter, that I can see, I can read, and pretty much and tell them what the color codes are, and all they have to do, which is blood, which is semen, which is a representation of our oceanic life, and which is a representation of that of our reptilian beings, which all is symbolic of the colors that are being utilized in these paintings, and therefore we have a holy grail, a genetic holy grail of reading of what is being stated here. The Last Supper was already mentioned in Biotto, in the Biotto's painting, the 1304-06 in the Scrovehi Chapel. It's the same exact thing. My name is Jerome Wright. You're watching my Jeronification channel. All of these images, these paintings, represent a historical moment in time where mankind's genetic was successfully genetically bridged over. It evolved children, it evolved women, it evolved men, it evolved women, it involved lesbian acts, it involved homosexual acts, it involved bisexual acts, it involved animals, including that of our oceanic creatures of our world, that of our reptilian creatures of our world. It involved lions, tigers, and bears. Oh my! I stole that from Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz. But all of these things, people, these animals, these paintings are showing how we were bridged over these creatures, how they used them to break down the genetics of mankind. And then there are things that I'm not even telling you about these images, that even the artist could not even possibly know. Through my multidimensional sense of awareness, I can tell you things about this that not even the artist in his own sense knew would create these images after these paintings would be finished. Because I know I'm linked to that which is around us. I can read this stuff, people. I would not be... I've been into this now for almost 4 years. I was called out to this. And I've been consistently with it ever since. I have no end to the videos I can make. I have no end to what I can do with this. In fact, I'm just going to put my materials together for my last my last videos on Jesus, because I done got burnt out on Jesus. I done beat him pretty much to death here in my videos. But I want to do one more video of Jesus to show you. I'm going to bring everything together, all my papers together with Jesus, to show you how much that I have discovered about this man, and what his true cause was for that of being in our ancient biblical history. And now, not just that. I mean, this doesn't just affect Christianity, but I mean the Muslim religion. A lot of that is based on what has happened in our biblical history, and a lot of other ancient religion is rooted off of this. You know, and it's not just these religions that I'm mentioning. I'm telling you that everything globally, there is nothing exempt from what is being stated here. It's just that these people are busted in the act by me, through my paranormal experience and encounter. I can take you anywhere in our world and do this. My name is Jerome Wright. You're watching my Jeronification channel. I'm exhausted after this. I don't think that these videos are going to be this long. I don't know how I'm going to end up justifying how I made almost an hour-long video. I just want you to just see these things that I pointed out here. Okay? And then take these images and look at them. They're here. You got to turn them on, rotate these images, and you'll see the likenesses of these creatures encrypted, especially in the beards area. That was a popular Renaissance encryption style. The darkened areas where you say, well, what in the world was here? Because this looks, why is this place all open? Look at all of these colored in, all this colored in, all this space utilized. And then in some of these areas, you see a void. You be like, well, what in the world is this? If you take a look, you'll see what's there. These areas are saved for our ancestors, our black ancestors, our ape ancestors. These voided areas. You see it in the servants being used, like in the sense of with Queen Esther and her images and the black servants. You see a black servant on one side, which is lighter in its color, and then you see a black servant on the other side, which is darker in color, and then Queen Esther in the middle, showing you how these women genetically bridged over each other, and there's no other way to do it, people, except through lesbian acts, because they didn't have no intravenous ways of doing this back then. I mean, they did it the old-fashioned way. Blood was shared with blood, and semen was shared with semen. And I mean, these things were done through sexual acts and oral acts, digesting. And this is what this is all about. And these are the implications. Behind the scenes of all of this stuff, there is penises. There's a lot of things being implied here behind these Renaissance artist paintings. And I would not be sitting here telling you this if it were not true. Some artists are more blatant than the other. That nutcase Salvador Dali, his paintings, you can read into them. Another artist that, the artist that is more candid with their artwork and encryption styles is that, and I got to take my hats off to George Quintets. People, you have to see his homoerotic art. Oh my gosh, you have to see it to believe it. Yep, you have to see it to believe it. Yep. There is something that is about this art that you cannot even see, and I can see. What stands out at you the most, you would not even see it. Yep. You would not even see it. Yep. You would not even see it. Yep. Now, I'm almost tempted to show you right here, but I better not. Yep. I better not. And it just absolutely will blow you away. Yeah. It would just blow you away. I'm almost tempted to actually show you this, but nah, I better not. I'll let that marinate with you in thought and in mind. Alright? I'm going to get going. Thank you for viewing. I hope that you enjoyed this, and I should have just left it at Leonardo da Vinci's Last Supper is founded an ideal. It's an ideal of this betrayal kiss of Judas in this Biotto painting, and this came before Leonardo da Vinci 14th century painting, because this is 1304 to 1306 at the Scrovehi Chapel. The same body gesturing, the same knife, the same bridging over gesturing. It's all there. It is all there. Thank you.